I went into the air to play, my friends the clouds, their bottoms gray. Up aloft, the sun is bright, I hope you see, it's me, your light. The wind is sweet and she's steady too, she's followed me, she'll follow you. From up above it's all so clear, no worries, sorrows, sadness, fear. The shadows cast are swift and fleeting, soaring now my heart is beating. Above the ground I travel now, upon the sky I'm all around. Circling high where I roam, heaven's bower I'm called to home. I do not fear the earth, the ground. I'm up above, I'm safe and sound.
I'm Parker, and Nathan was my best friend. We did so much together. I remember going camping with him, going over his house, him coming over my house, and so much more. This one time, when I was sleeping over his house, his mom told us to go to bed around 1 o'clock in the morning. And I think we went to bed around 7 in the morning.
And what did you say that day? You said, Miss Brooke, don't tell my mom. That was the best night of my life.
Another time, when we went out camping, his dad took out the jet ski and went tubing pretty much all day. And the skin on the back of our knuckles and backs of our knees were chafed off. And then we went out and did it again the next day. It was so much fun. Another time, when Nathan came over my house, we had a really fun Nerf fight. And we were so tired when we were done that we both probably drank a gallon of water. And I spent a lot of time with Nathan the weekend before the accident. I got to spend all of Friday, or summer Friday, and all of Saturday with him and his family, and we played games and cards. I'm so grateful that I met Nathan, and I remember all the times we had together. He will live forever in our hearts.
Hey y'all, my name's Olivia, and I'd just like to say a few things about Nathan. He was definitely one of my very best friends. The first time we met was at Konos on Monday after class. We were standing in front of Konos, and it was pretty awkward. I was just standing there like, oh my gosh. I had to talk to him. And literally about 10 minutes later, I had learned everything about planes, learned how to fly planes, learned how to land them. He had taught me thoroughly how to build a diamond generator in Minecraft, taught me about his dog and his cats. He gave me his hangouts before he left. About 2 weeks later, we FaceTimed, and he asked me to play Minecraft. I didn't have an Xbox Live account, so we couldn't play. And then he told me how to make it and everything. We started playing almost every single night, and we had the coolest world. It was awesome. He was so nice. One time he was coming home from a cruise. I'm pretty sure it was on a Sunday night. And we FaceTimed for what felt like 4 hours, watching Try Not to Laugh videos. He laughed. He lost, of course. He laughed almost every time. During school at math class, we would sign the answers to each other, not during tests, just clarifying that. We would always sign the answers to each other, and he normally had the answer right. Yeah. Normally I had the answer about 200 digits off, which is normal for me. Yeah, every time I showed him my answer, he would look at me like, dear Lord, how'd you get that? Oh my gosh, like, Olivia, the answer's 128, not negative 1.25. Like, dear Lord. During science class, we'd write notes to each other, and I don't think Mr. Nowosielski knew, but we would always laugh and just have the best time. We would laugh at the pictures on the slide presentations and everything. I'm pretty sure it was Isaac Newton on one of the pictures. He told me he looked like he had a sheep on his head because of the big white wool wig. He would always bring his cat Pumpkin on FaceTime, and she would just lick his face constantly and would never stop. He said, "Oh my gosh, she's abusing my face." At his birthday party, we were lying on the ground, just watching the planes come and land over our heads. I got scared and started rolling down the hill. And he started rolling down the hill and just laughed for about 3 minutes. And then he asked if I was okay, figures. One of my friends gave him the nickname Bernice. And he hated it so much. And when Nathan gets mad, he would smile. And I could never tell if he was happy or mad. So I just kept on calling him Bernice. And one day he got in my face and he went, "Stop calling me that." It was the funniest thing. In conclusion, Nathan was one of my best friends. He was always there for me and always there for everybody, honestly. He was one of the most nicest guys I had ever met. Before I go, I'd like to read a message that my aunt sent my mom. Very touching. It's about Nathan. It says, "If Nathan were able to communicate, he might tell his mama that although I am not in your presence, I am present in you. Don't allow grief to stop your heartbeat. Let it beat for me with joy. Try and remember I was doing what I loved. I was flying. The very second you lost sight of me is the same second I landed on heaven's airstrip. God's outstretched arms waiting for me. Mommy and Daddy, I am not gone, just out of sight, but only for a moment in eternity's light. May God bless everyone here. May God turn the tears into thoughtful joy. May God guide each of us to attack each day thoughtfully. As another day is never promised to us. Till we meet again, Nathan Sorenson, may each of us live by God's words so that we will have a direct path to meet again in the glory of heaven. Thank you.
My name is Angela, and I'm bestie friends with Brooke, and I'm going to tell you a story of life and love. I met Brooke in 2008 at a breastfeeding mom support meeting in Griffin, Georgia. Nathan was around 18 months old, and my oldest two children were 3 years and 6 months old. Nathan was a vivacious toddler with a mouth full of teeth. You can imagine, teeth were often a hot topic of discussion at a breastfeeding support group. He was physically able to keep up with the bigger kids in the group, while mine were bald, toothless, and barely walking at the same age. He also talked nonstop. His chattering was a bit of a discussion point for Brooke and I for many years. He had a very large daily word count, and he was for sure going to use it up, even if that meant very, very late night chatter sessions with Mama. People like to say, brother from another mother, in a really cliche sort of way. But in our case, it really was true. Nathan was one of ours. My kids called Nathan their other brother. They have never known a world without their Nathan. The oldest two have no memories where Nathan wasn't in their life, and the youngest 3 were born into a hand-picked family with the Sorenson crew. Nathan has been a part of our chosen family since he was a tiny toddler, with the best blonde hairs, epic smile, and joy-filled laugh. I am my parents' only daughter. I was not given the gift of biological sisters. However, I have the pleasure of God-sent soul sisters, women who I choose to do life with, and who they also choose to do life with me. I'm so glad that Brooke was sent to do life with me in 2008, and along with my Brooke, I gained a Nathan too. In doing life with the dynamic duo of Brooke and Nathan, we were able to have some of the best adventures, some more epic than others. We celebrated birthdays and holidays together, We met for fun fast food dates where the kids could Wi-Fi game so we could catch up and talk. Sometimes we would meet at a park and let the kids run and explore nature while we got our adult talking void filled for the day. Sometimes it was Luke and Mark chatting about aviation air traffic stuffs while the kids ran amok. And sometimes we simply made time to hang and connect, even if it was, quote, normal, boring life stuff. It was and is valuable. It was and always will be memorable. Watching Nathan grow from a toddler into a teen is one of the most special things I have ever witnessed. I even put a caption saying this on his birthday party celebration from this last November. Quote, "Celebrating life is the best. I love being witness to my tiny BFFs grow from bitty beans into young teens." I am so honored to celebrate Nathan's life. He was so charming and funny, always full of laughs and jokes. Nathan was ever quick to offer my babies a smile and a peekaboo. He loved gaming with my kids and showing them new tricks and strategies. He was a good chicken cuddler and the best turtle tamer. He had a way of making my middle child Henry laugh like no other. Hunting for Lego minifigs has got to take the cake for our adventuring. Whether we were sharing French fries and Frosties or trying to tutor each other's kids, every celebration, every non-flashy interaction, every birthday, every meal, every holiday, my family and I will treasure those moments and these memories forever. I'd like to offer my sincerest condolences to little Mark's family and friends. This is an unbelievably painful time, and I'm glad we have each other. Brooke, you are my forever sister, and Nathan will forever be my kid's other brother. We love you and your Mark and your Nathan, and I will be by your side through this impossibly difficult time and beyond. We hope we can honor Nathan with you and Mark until forever. Let us remain eternity-minded and keep filling our earthly days with the best memories of your boy.
Thank you all for being here. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Tiffany, and I am Nathan's godmother. I'm also his Aunt Tiffy. And I just want to start off by saying, I have two boys. Nathan was their best friend, also, kind of like he was everyone else. And I wasn't, like Angela said, I wasn't gifted with siblings, but my cousin, Brooke, grew to be my sister in life. And because of that, as an only child, I think that Nathan and I had a very unique bond, whereas I could understand sometimes what he was going through because he didn't have brothers and sisters that were his age. And so it was just really nice to share something special with him. I have a lot of notes, but I'll skip over them because y'all have been very patient. But one thing I would also like to say is that I didn't know little Mark, but I have gotten to meet some of his friends over the past few days. And if he is anything like them, I think we also would have been best friends. I know that morning when my sister sent me pictures about the costumes that she was designing, and she sent me a video of Nathan and his precious kitten, Pumpkin, licking his face in the strangest of ways, but that kitten just loved him. I knew that Nathan had a gift for animals, and he had a gift to bring joy to all of those around him. I wanted to share a really cute story before I finish with a poem that I might not get through. So, Nathan was amazing with animals. And this morning, trying to get everything together, I am trying to load and unload cars, and out of nowhere, I hear off Highway 16, a goat bleeding, like just random goat. No idea where this goat could have came from. And then Nathan was playing with goats actually not too long ago, and I just knew that it was something that he was playing a trick on me or something. But I spent the next hour chasing a goat and 2 dogs. And the one dog gave me the biggest hug ever. And I'm not really much of a dog person, but this dog hugged me, and I just knew that my nephew was there. So the poem that I read that really just hit home was, "Little did I know that morning that God was going to call your name in life. We loved you so dearly, and in death we do the same. It broke our hearts to lose you. You did not go alone, for part of me went with you the day God called you home. You left us with beautiful memories, and your love is still our guide. And though we cannot see you, you are always by our side. Our family chain is broken, and nothing seems the same. But as God calls us, one by one, the chain will link again."
Let me start off with just saying, wow, look at all these people that showed up. This is truly amazing. All of us are here today because Mark and Nathan meant something to us in a special way. We're gathered here today in memory of my brother Nathan and our dear friend and teammate, little Mark. So together that we may acknowledge and share both our joy and the gift that their life were to us, and the pain of their passing brings. In sharing the joy and the pain together today, may we lessen the pain and remember more clearly the joy. Mark was everyone's best friend, including one of mine. Every air show weekend, I was excited to hang out with Mark and just laugh our butts off and have a good time. And boy, did Mark know how to have a good time. I looked up to him as many aviators and aspiring aviators did. He was truly one of the best pilots I've ever met. It was such an honor to work and be able to perform alongside one of the greatest and to be his ringmaster. We have made so many memories that make a great campfire story. I will never forget our friendship, and I'll miss him dearly. It's bittersweet being a big brother with an age difference of 13 years. I got to hold Nathan shortly after he was born. I learned to change a diaper or two, and now I've changed plenty with my own. I watched him learn to walk and learn sign language, before he even knew words. I helped put Nathan to sleep at night reading bedtime stories. Nathan wanted to be so much like me when he was younger, which got annoying at times, but he was always following me around wanting to do what I was doing. He was my cheerleader at all my football games and baseball games. He was there when I first soloed in the Highlander at our home field at Big T. I remember him waiting for me to get out of the airplane so we can both get our shirts signed and the backs cut off by Dad, even though it was my accomplishment. In 2011, my father, Nathan, and I flew Greg Davis's 172 on my cross-country portion of flight training to my freshman college aviation orientation in Valdosta, Georgia. When it was time to go to school, he helped me move into my dorm. And at the beginning of the semester, he wished me luck on my adventures. He was always there. At that time in life, I was now doing my own thing away from home. I could only imagine how hard that could have been for a little brother to miss his big brother all the time. I looked forward to coming home for breaks and the holidays as I was greeted with excitement and hugs from Nathan. Silly string battles with him on Christmas Day will never be the same. We bonded so much over the years and created so many memories that I will hold on to and cherish. I'm going to miss our family vacations with him. I eventually married and had my own family, which made Nathan a young uncle. Arion, my oldest son, loved Nathan and would ask to go play with him very frequently. Even though Andy, my youngest son, may remember or may not remember much when he gets older, but I'm still grateful for the time my boys got to spend with their Uncle Nathan. As a teammate, I'm incredibly proud of Nathan with our night show performance, as it takes a lot of courage at that age to perform in front of hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million spectators throughout the season. Mark and Nathan were the stars of the 2019 Bill Barber Awarded Night Show. Mark and Nathan lives in our memories and stories, and in what all he has, and what all of us have become because of them. So I encourage you to share today, tomorrow, and the years to come, your memories and stories, and to share the pain of your loss as well. In this way, we will keep the gifts of their lives alive. I'll finish by sharing a quote from Abraham Lincoln. He said, "In the end, it's not the years in your life that counts. It's the life in your years." Nathan and Mark definitely had life in their years. Thank you.
All right, y'all, you know I'm one for sick humor, so in the famous words of Forrest Gump, I gotta pee. I'm gonna make this as short as I can. So, y'all just bear with us. I am Brooke, the mother of Nathan, and this is my husband, as we call Big Mark on our team. And Little Mark was our best friend, and as he said last weekend, I hate to inform you, he was having an affair with us. And as Craig says, we all get jealous of Mark's best friends because every time we were with our best friend, he was talking about all his other best friends and what they were accomplishing. Hey, y'all, did you see what we did last weekend? And you know what? Nathan was our great son, and so was Brendan. And Nathan, as John said earlier, go into the arms of heaven as a child of God. If any of you knew little Mark closely, he probably acted no differently than my 13-year-old son. And that was the best part of their humor, is they knew how to be innocent, they knew how to project joy, they knew how to feel joy, they knew how to give a hug. The hardest part for me moving forward is they were the two extroverts who could handle a crowd of 1 million people while Mama just got to make some food and wait for y'all to come home. And they were such a beautiful smile. How could they not want to share that with the world? I can't thank you all enough for being here today. There's so many people that may have only known us for 2 times or 3 times. There's children in this audience who said, I've never met your face, but Nathan was my Xbox best friend, and we played games all the time. And I knew I could call Nathan, and I could say, I'm having a bad day, and he made it better. And I know you're out there in the crowd, because you and I have texted, and hopefully you'll get to come give me a hug or show me your name. In the world of electronics, we worry about our children these days. What will happen to them, and what will they be witness to, and what will we need to protect them from? And for whatever reason, God saw fit that my son used electronics as his mission platform. And he wasn't so much of a religious kid, but he certainly was a spiritual one, and he just said, I'm here to love you today. And if you don't get enough from me, I got a cat who will lick your face, and she will just love you to death. And if my cat's not good enough, Mark has a few at his house, and they'll snuggle with you, and you don't get the bed to yourself, and we'll make sure that you are loved enough. Matthew 18 through 20 says, take this most seriously. A yes on earth is yes in heaven. A no on earth is a no in heaven. What you say to one another is eternal. And I mean this. When two of you are gathered together on anything at all on earth and make a prayer of it, my Father in heaven goes into action. And when 2 or 3 of you are gathered together because of me, you can be sure that I'll be there. I look out at all of you knowing that there is one reason we are here today, and that is love. Every single one of us has some sort of love that we felt from Mark or Nathan. Not even the love we had to give them. It was the love that they gave us. There's many words in Corinthians that describe love. It's patient. It's kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others, and it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no records of wrongs. I will be the first person to tell you that is not my forte. I like wrongs, and I like records, and I have all the details. And I was so blessed to have a Mark and a Nathan in my life. And little Mark, being the top aviator in the entire world, would sat there beside you and would have said, we're going to make you be the top aviator in the world, regardless of his trophy. And Craig could attest to that, and anybody else on that team said, just because you're my competitor doesn't mean you're also not my best friend. And Nathan said the same thing when he was playing video games with others. He said, it's not about me. What are your challenges today? Let's get them crossed off the list so we all can go to 100. I don't even know what that means. I don't play Xbox. Each and every one of us here today know we were loved by little Mark or by Nathan or by both. Mark and Nathan lit up a room. They danced and they played and they smiled and they enjoyed every moment to the fullest. When we were able to come to Konos Homeschool Academy this year, the teachers could tell you that I emailed them and said, I'm not so sure about my Nathan, and they said, you must have a 7th grade boy. It's what we call the fog. And I did. And we struggled a little bit in the beginning of, why do I have to do this much work? Why did they ask me a question that I have to research and then actually learn how to write what I'm going to tell them? Why can't I just tell them what I want to tell them? And recently we studied India, which is quite a historical platform for missionaries. And they had to read a little bit about Mother Teresa and a few other missionaries. And Nathan was now, after Christmas, I got lots of teacher messages. You don't have to worry about Nathan. He is far exceeding your expectations as a homeschool student. I'd like to read you one of his last writings. 2 of them, actually. It's called Rising Above, and it was his missionary blog post as if he was spreading this to the rest of you. It's 7:30 in the morning and 93 degrees Fahrenheit. I hope I can fly today. My name is Lucas. I believe my purpose is to preach the word of God to the people in the countryside of India. My dog's name is Fido. He helps me by fetching things from the plane. I hear about a family that gave birth to a baby in Kodid, India, that has very bad health conditions. I think I could go pray for them and give them food and water. Today is April 4th, 2015. I gather some supplies and I jump into the pilot's seat and I flip on the switch for the battery, then the magnetos. I start the engine, I do a 5-minute engine check. Everything seems to be running good. I increase the throttle to 100% and the plane rumbles over the terrain and lift off. I climb to cruising altitude and I reduce the power to 75%. It would be harder if I were driving because of the location of this village. Before flight, I took note of the elevation. It's 1,200 meters above sea level. I'm about 5 minutes away, and I'm looking off the nose trying to spot some brown houses. There's about 6,000 people that live in this small village of northwestern India. I've become a missionary to India in hopes of giving these people hope. They live off of less than $2 a day, and about 25% of people of India cannot read or write. I was very concerned about what language this village would speak, but my neighbor told me it was Marathi. I have learned a few words I feel I can communicate. The hardest part of being a missionary to India is not a direct language translation for speaking about Jesus. I really have to put words together, or I try to draw pictures and they give me words. I've spotted the houses and they seem to be close by a flat field. When I land, I walk up to the house of the sick child. I tell my dog, Fido, to stay behind because maybe they aren't comfortable with dogs. I knock on the door and an elderly woman answers. I gesture, "Hi, I've come to help. I've heard about a sick baby," and I rock my arms. She has a puzzled look on her face as if I fell from the sky. She gestures me to come in. I bring my supplies and I enter, and I look around and I don't see much but dirt. Using my arms again, I ask, "Where's the baby?" I peek around the corners trying to spot her. The woman walks towards another room and she points to a door. I open the door slowly and I wave hi and I show I've come to help. I quickly kneel by the child and indicate I've heard they have a need for prayer for their sick daughter. The scared look on that mother's face, she smiles and allows me to touch her baby. I grab the child's hand and I pray. I pray the Lord our Father, would watch over this child and let her have a happy life and get better. As I end my prayer, I hear the chain around Fido's neck clinking together. I stand up and I assure the two women he will cause no harm and that I owned him. I whispered to Fido, "You can't scare people like that, bud." I stare at him and then I ask, "Do you want to help me?" He licks me in response. The most amazing thing I witnessed in a long time happens. I walk Fido over to the baby, who's gently laying down, and he takes one deep breath and lays his chin on her pillow. The baby immediately takes a deep breath and relaxes so much she smiles. I walk out and I hand the food and the water to the grandmother and she thanks me. I reply with a gesture of no, thank you for letting me help. Fido and I walk back to the plane and we fly back to our household. I was so humbled that I had a 13-year-old son who wrote that almost entirely on his own and said, "Mom, I got this one." And I said, "You think it's going to have a pet?" He said, "I'm always going to have a pet." In a recent movie that came out, many of you may have seen about Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers said, "If it's human, it's mentionable. And if it's mentionable, it's manageable." Well, we are human. And through the nature of what aviation means, we're able to often have mentionable and manageable conversations. Many of you may be sitting here saying, "Oh my gosh, how do you ever prepare for something like this? How do you go on?" Little Mark and I often talked about what if. We had those conversations often. His mom not being from here, us losing other comrades as they have gone before us. And I said, "Mark, tell me what I do in case something ever happens, because you mean that much to me, and so does your family." And he says, "Brooke, I want you to know I am right where I want to be. So, unfortunately, if you make that phone call for me, you just tell them I loved what I was doing, I was living life to the fullest, and I'll see you on the other side." Well, everyone keeps asking how we're managing, and I don't know yet, but I'll be sure to tell you when I figure it out. Mark was a gift to us, just as our son Nathan. We enjoyed every aspect of life that there was. He brought some amazing women into our team over the years, namely his mother and his sister, and the other ones that we are very close to. He brought a camaraderie few people have. Mark was truly a glue that when he saw potential in somebody, he took it to the highest level. We still had big plans. We surely did not expect to let go this soon, but I know the veil is thin and heaven is only but one breath away. I sure had big plans for Nathan. We were finally in an amazing homeschool groove. I've wanted to homeschool that child since he was born, and he talked too much. He had to go to school for a few years. I'm not that much of an extrovert. I am pretty sure that they say women have a word count of 25,000 and men maybe around 5. I'm probably much more on the men's side of things, and Nathan could double any woman out there. I will always long for the homeschool stories. So those of you who are in this crowd who still do those things, I will miss learning what you're learning as you learn those things. It was so much fun to see Nathan get to see a world view. He had a great view of our American country as he traveled. And like some of you have said before me, in 13 years, he touched over 30 states and millions of people. You know, the hardest part sometimes that we kind of laugh about is Nathan was going to grow up and he was going to go viral and he was going to be a YouTuber and make millions of dollars. And we really did not know how to break his heart that that doesn't happen. And he kept telling us, you don't understand who I really am. And you know what? Sometimes maybe we also didn't understand the God that we serve, because as you've seen on social media, those silly videos that we've made time and time again have hit thousands and thousands of people of spreading a smile. I loved being Nathan's mama. Most mornings were really tough. He liked to sleep in, and I didn't always want to have to argue. Nathan was in a really good place. He had the best of friends. He really enjoyed learning with me. Recently, when we studied Rudyard Kipling, the author of the Jungle Book, we had a lot of great conversations about what does poetry do for people. And as many of you may have seen the Jungle Book, Mr. Kipling or Dr. Kipling wrote a lot of emotion in poetry. And one of those homework assignments was to write a poem that Dr. Kipling wrote that's called If, and the 7th and 8th graders were tasked to write their own version. And I'm going to read you Nathan's on the back of the program. I told him I would help him put this into print. If you could dream of flying in the sky, then why not try? If you could ask, maybe that's your first task. If you don't like flying, please don't start crying. If you can't withstand the forces, maybe you'll be better with horses. If you want to travel, try not to walk in the gravel. If you arrive at your destination, you could be in a better situation. If you want to fly a plane, don't go insane. If you like to soar, flying will never be a bore. If your ears would stop popping, maybe I could keep talking. And if you like to fly, maybe you'll be a pilot someday. Nathan loved aviation, and Mark loved aviation. Nathan loved animals, especially cats, and Mark loved cats. We often tease Nathan, how many cats are you going to have at your house to keep your dad away? Dad doesn't always like as many cats. He said at least 6. Nathan has an aunt who has probably 6. Mostly, Mark and Nathan loved each and every one of you, and I know you love them too. I ask you one favor of everybody sitting in this room. One of us in this room is going to be the next to cross over. And when you do, please deliver a hug from this mama to her boy and our brother, and you tell them we're only but one breath away.
Spoiler alert. This is so amazing. Mark said he's going to go sell a bunch of tickets for an event. I didn't know what he was talking about. I never thought this day would come. At least I never thought if it did, it was going to be me standing here talking about Mark and Nathan. This is hard, as you all can imagine. I'll get through it as best I can. I wrote a few pages, and I'll try to stick to it because I know everybody's got to pee. But there's some great things that have happened these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 20 days. One of the greatest things that, lessons I've learned is, about love and what that really is. I never can honestly say I didn't really experience it before now. But, just a brief story of how this whole day got put together is, Mark showed up at the house. He had a uniform shirt with him with a logbook in his pocket. We had no idea what it was for or why it was there. And when we looked at it, it was an old Swap-A-Lot book we Cape with us to make log entries on our flights. And that logbook was from 2015, and it had no entries in it whatsoever. We didn't know the significance of it until after about a week. We said our final goodbyes to the physical Mark and Nathan. And we said, what are we going to do for a day? How are we going to celebrate this? And it became extremely clear that Mark had told us. It's on 2/15, just like the logbook showed. Southwest Airlines is going to fly everybody in on Valentine's Day with the Love airline. And we didn't know that at the time, but that was so true that we look around here, and that's how powerful, the love of his family and friends have come out to turn out as bigger than I ever thought. Nathan kind of thought it was going to be a small tent in the front yard, but there's no way we could have supported that kind of infrastructure here. I'll start by saying unconditional love is known as the affection without any limitations, or love without conditions. Many will agree that this type of love has no bounds and is unchanging. Until that fateful evening on January 25th, 2020, I didn't recognize what that felt like or how to acknowledge it when it was received. But in the last 20 days, I can honestly say I now have had more of my fair share with the experiences with it. It's that experience of joy, happiness, sadness, and relief, all packaged into one emotion that rocks you to your core, followed by crying, sobbing for no explained reason. For those of you that have spent any amount of time with either Nathan or Mark, you know that giving themselves with others was not uncommon. Either of them would go out of their way to help you feel better and conquer any problem you were encountering. Mark, with his positive attitude, high energy, and extremely positive outlook on life, has been known to be described by others as annoyingly enthusiastic. Nathan, with a gentle and caring personality, extremely intellect for acquiring knowledge, and willingness to share it constantly, along with his extremely compassionate, loving, and emotional soul, made it impossible not to fall in love with. Losing these two fine individuals is what makes it difficult for many that knew them all too well. It all started in 2006, just 13 short years ago. I had recently acquired my first aerobatic aircraft when I had the opportunity to fly a trip with a first officer I'd never met before. Strange accent you have. So what part of Lower Mississippi are you from? He laughed, and that was the icebreaker needed to start the never-ending conversation and beginning of our friendship. When Mark said, "What did I do on my days off?" I explained, I lived in my hangar with my wife on a private airstrip and just started getting into competition aerobatics. You should have seen the look on his face after that. At first I couldn't tell if it was a look of surprise and excitement that I actually lived with my airplane at my house and flew whenever I was home, or that he was envisioning our bed was a cot under the wing and an empty 5-gallon bucket was our commode. Either way, Mark was amazed and had to see it for himself. Shortly thereafter, Mark visited us with our neighbors and was consumed by the same dream, leading him to eventually purchase a lot and an airplane, thus beginning his journey with this new and exciting aviation path alongside his airline career. This same year, Nathan became part of the 1%ers and joined our family. That blessed day on October 29th, 2006. I joke about that only because our love for each other 9 months earlier was so strong that Nathan proved to the world that he was meant to be here, disregarding what our plans were and even defying the claims on the back of the contraceptive box being 99% effective. From that point on, we knew our future was no longer in our hands, but that of God the Father in heaven. Our life's outlook had to change as we mentally prepared for the arrival of our new baby. To protect ourselves from any pain of unmet expectations, we elected not to discover our baby's gender and expose it to any unnecessary medical procedures prior to natural labor. History had proven that natural childbirth was possible, and it was done successfully many times before. Along with our faith in God and guidance from our like-minded peers and professionals, it gave us the peace in our hearts that this birth was going to be no different. As expected, he was born just before 11 a.m., October 29, 2006, in the master bedroom of our airplane hangar home. This was definitely the first for our hometown Big T Airport. For the next 8 years as family, we were part of Mark's continued growth in the aerobatic and airshow communities. We flew weekly, mastering our skills and traveling to airshows until finally, on October 9th, 2014, Mark and I became the new full-time faces of the Twin Tiger aerobatic team at our hometown show here in Peachtree City, Georgia. From then forward, we continued to work together with safety and professionalism foremost, building the team image one performance at a time. Mark continued to work toward his goal as a U.S. National Aerobatic Champion, and I continued to cultivate the professional side of aerobatics in the world of air shows. Knowing the two cultures were different, we wanted to bring out the best in both of us to inspire the next generation of aviators. This was no easy task and very time-consuming on both our personal schedules. Nathan is my inspiration and is our biggest fan in the development of our performances. I continued the endless hours of building and modifying the aircraft to create the airshow performance he wanted to see. Nathan would play with his toys and recreate the action he would witness at each and every show, then say to me, "Hey Dad, it'd be so cool if you and Mark could do this." He was the constant insight that led to many of the secrets of our success. Nathan's excitement for aviation flowed over into his friends by saying he could fly a plane too, and one day was going to pilot his own airplane. I never wanted Nathan to become a pilot by force, but only by choice, exposing him to the many opportunities aviation had to offer. These are some of the greatest memories of my life. During the winter months of 2018, Mark and I elected to pursue the night show arena after consistent encouragement from friends, family, and especially my wife. Not yet knowing what the show would look like, we only envisioned what the plane would look like and started the daunting task of a major engineering feat to bring those ideas to life. It wasn't until after many long days and nights working in the hangar did we get that initial rush of excitement when we flipped the switch on for the very first time. The brilliance and colors inside a dark hangar that evening sent out chills and awes for everyone who saw it. Nathan especially expressed his amazement and excitement with overwhelming joy. It was then I confirmed the importance of connecting the audience to our performance with emotion and a production level act like never seen before. It was only with the continuous enthusiasm and skill displayed by Mark that convinced me that what I envisioned could safely be done and executed with perfection. Because of the overwhelming task of modifying one aircraft for night shows, there just wasn't enough time in our off-season to complete a second aircraft in time for our already existing daytime schedule. After completing a successful 2018 season with overwhelming response to our night show debut, we elected to go another season in 2019, pulling out all the stops with our capabilities and what we could offer in entertainment value. Nathan even wrote a part to participate in our night show, visualizing for the audience the computer-generated narrator, Centauri, your game administrator. He loved that he finally had a full-time part in our show. So much so, when I mentioned one day of retiring the Twin Tigers, he says, No way, Dad. Then I'd have to get a real job doing hard labor. He continued to say, I made $600 last year and I still have $350 left to get me till the next show. Upon completion of a very successful show season, we made commitments with Mark to vacation with him, each other, just prior to heading off to our next airshow commitment, referred to as the ICAST convention. We chose to do it in cruise line fashion as it provided the best variety for relaxation, taste, and adventure. It was there we could put down our professional appearance and ourselves and just enjoy each other's company as the normal people we are. This is where we got to know Mark and he got to know us personally, spiritually, and discuss what it looked like each year moving forward as a team. It was always hard to leave Mark after the cruises, as we would head back to our home in cool, damp winters, celebrating the holidays apart. Mark's home memorial service last weekend reminded us the size of his family away from the team, and that he was never alone. His Ocala family and his competition family is huge, and was very active in his everyday life. He obviously infected them with his obnoxious enthusiasm, just as he had affected us and his neighbors while living in the Atlanta area. Mark, you are a superior aviator, one that was affirmed by numerous awards and accomplishments. We could have never picked a better teammate to have traveled this adventurous path in life with. You were placed in our lives for a reason. I'm confident we will fly once again much closer in the kingdom of heaven. You are now at the ultimate pilot briefing, getting the frequencies, checking the weather, planning the pull points for the perfect crossing. Our next show together, we will have all the angels in heaven as our audience and God the Father as our air boss. Mark, you are a master aviator, one I look up to, not just over at. God picked you as our teammate to go down this adventurous path in life, and we are forever grateful. You are placed in our lives for a reason. You are loved, and you will be missed. Nathan, our last day, I remember it like it was today. I had to pull you away from the video games. I wanted to reconnect with you. I took him out, and I said he had to come. He didn't come willingly. He was screaming and pulling. I said, get in the car. We're going to go and do something fun. And I says, I guarantee you'll like it when I've ever not had fun with you. And he goes, where are we going? Where are we going? I says, you're just going to have to wait and see. And he wouldn't say, I'm not going until you tell me. I said, just get in the car. Trust me. You'll have fun. His favorite thing to do when the opportunity came was to play pool, billiards. And it was getting late at night and didn't want to disturb the neighbors that I knew had pool tables. So we decided to head up north to find a billiard hall that I saw on the internet that said family friendly. And we got up there and he was so excited. He saw a table open in the window and got to the door, and his heart just fell as he saw a sign that says, smoking inside, no children under 18. He proceeded to get mad at me for pulling away from his games and his friends and saying, Dad, look at all the money you wasted in my time. I'm like, yeah, a big pint of diesel in 15 minutes I can never get back. So we proceeded to look on and go on and try to find another facility that possibly had that magic pool table we could spend our last moments together, not knowingly that's what it was going to be. And we looked around and drove around. I could sense his frustration, and we went to Walmart to try to play one of his favorite games called the Pun Game, if you've seen that on YouTube, to make fun of brand names and puns. And that didn't work out, and I could definitely tell his anxiousness as he wanted to get home. So I offered to get back in the car, and he started to pull out his phone, and I said, son, put that away. It's just you and me going home. We'll play a game. I've never played this game with him before, and it just came off the top of my head. I said, son, this car runs on laughing gas. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you start laughing, it will go. And he snickered, and I gave it gas. He snickered a little more, and gave it gas. And at 13 years old, he goes, Dad, this is so embarrassing. You want to know why I don't take you with my friends? And he laughed again, and pretty soon I says, don't stop now, an intersection's coming up. And he laughed some more, and we got it going, and we played that game for about 5 miles. And then I could tell his patience was wearing thin again, so I grabbed his hand as we're going down the road, heading home, hit the cruise control and put his left hand on the steering wheel. I says, check out my new Tesla. It's got auto drive. And he goes, wait, what? That was his tick. Wait, what? I'm like, keep it in the lane. Don't hit the markers. And, you know, he was challenged. First time I think he ever gained the respect of what it was like to drive an automobile. And I said, I'm putting a $20 bill on the dashboard, pretend it's there, and every marker you hit is $5 less. And boy, he got into that game now. He was driving, and we did that for the next 13 miles all the way home, and he parked it exactly where Dad always parks his car. And then he got out, and he says, see Dad, and ran in and connected to his virtual world again, where all his friends were. And I'll never forget that memory. Oh, Nathan, my precious son, I am so sorry. I did everything I knew how to protect you from danger and to give you the life here on earth we thought you deserved. You were perfect to us. God placed you in our lives with complete, unconditional love, and it's a total blessing. When you were born, we waited to name you with what was right. So it was Nathan, Hebrew in origin, meaning gift from God. Rivers, well, that's my fault, son. I sensed you were going to be famous one day, and I wanted you a catchy stage name, just in case you could drop your last name if needed. So Nathan Rivers Sorenson it was. You are such an inspiration to us all. Your love, companion, and willingness to share is what made you so irresistible to be around. I'm so proud of you and the man you were becoming at the age of 13, going on 25. I'm guilty for not wanting you to grow up. I miss so desperately the times we had when you were younger. Yes, I was warned by others to be careful, as children grow up so fast, and before you know it, they move on. Never did I imagine it would have been this soon. I remember the day of the accident I remember the day after the accident as it was as clear as it can be. I sat up in bed that morning, sobbing uncontrollably for no specific reason, other than I knew you were in my presence, but I couldn't touch you or hold you. You were peaceful and happy, and I was a mess. I remember asking you, why did you leave me? Why did you go? You replied, I had to leave. I had to go first. What? I said. Why did you have to go first? Dad, he said, I had to go first so you all could come. Sobbing even harder, realizing the power in his message, I asked again, but why you? And then Nathan said to me, because kids have a free pass, as he faded into my tears. Nathan's spirit is so powerful. He reassures me that he is in no pain. He says Jesus is beautiful. The trees and rivers are so clear. And that Nana is taking care of me until your time. Oh, and by the way, he said, I do have a pet. And Dad, don't be playing my favorite video game. You're not that smart. You can't win. Yes, I've got wings too. Don't give up. Don't give up. I'll guide you. Give Mom a big bear hug for me. I miss her. For Brooke and I, it's obvious that Nathan and Mark are in heaven. Nathan's words, I have to go first so you all can come, were so clear. I don't believe he meant just my family, but everybody and everyone they both touched in one way or another. Our time on this earth is short compared to eternity. I now live out the remaining days here with clarity as to the path I must lead in order to reunite with Nathan, Mark, and the rest of our loved ones in heaven, along with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. A verse that was shared with me in the preceding weeks was Isaiah 57, 1 and 2. Good people pass away. The godly often die before their time, but no one seems to care or wonder why. No one seems to understand that God is protecting them from evil to come. For those who follow Godly's path will rest in peace when they die. A final thought: we can choose to go through life with our eyes wide open, seeing nothing as a miracle, or we can go through life with our eyes wide open, seeing everything is a miracle. Nathan, I love you so very, very much. I miss you more than you were our miracle. See you again soon. In the meantime, we will come alive. And I'll leave you with this one last tribute. The Twin Tigers Aerobatic Team's final performance, November 9th, 2019.
Tiger 2, ready. Roger, Tiger throttle 70%, smoke on, let's go. Tiger 2 is rolling.
Tigers boss, outstanding performance. It is always a pleasure. Y'all take good care. Fly safe. God bless. I'll see you on the road.
Thanks a lot, folks. Appreciate working with you again.
Good.
Good way to end it, eh? That was a great way to end it.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this time of celebration of two precious lives, and ask that you would be pleased to comfort and draw near to those that are mourning, that you would continue to be with us as we have this time of fellowship together now. And Lord, would you watch over everyone as they depart and go home now and even into the evening. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.